Sure Trax is sponsored by Polaris. Think outside. Can-Am. Time for some off-road living. Yamaha. Revs your heart. And by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll.
I've said many times that I believe Polaris' success in the off-road industry is largely due to the fact that they never sit still. They're always upgrading already class-leading models. If there was ever a year you'd expect them to take a breather, it would be this year. Many would assume, with good reason, that business in the power sports industry is slow, but that is definitely not the case. Try and buy a new ATV or side-by-side right now. Good luck. Polaris Offroad just announced that their last quarter saw the strongest consumer demand in the 66-year history of the off-road division. So, it should come as no surprise that the 2021 off-road model lineup does see some significant changes, all for the better, starting with the best-selling model, the Sportsman 570. It's been 8 years since this platform has seen a significant upgrade, and I think this new version is just plain sexy. Many of its lines mimic its older siblings, and I think it just looks tough and mean. Towing capacity has been bumped up from 1,225 pounds to 1,350 pounds. Racks are all new and have been beefed up for more strength. The rack extension is standard equipment up front. The new headlight pod houses the gauge, and on higher-end models, the lights in the pod are LEDs. The new look is definitely nice, but there is more to the 2021 Sportsman 450 and 570 than just its appearance. A more powerful battery, now mounted under the front rack, is better protected and offers more reliable starting and more ability to add electrical accessories. Upgraded clutching is tuned to be smoother at slow speeds, and the engine braking system has been updated to offer a smoother, more controllable riding experience. New 25-inch 6-ply tires offer a little more ground clearance and extra puncture resistance, which is always a good thing. Sportsman 570 news is punctuated with a couple special edition models. The 570 Hunter Edition comes wrapped in Pursuit camo plastic and includes a long list of accessories any hunter will appreciate. The Ultimate Utility Edition gets driveshaft seals and upgraded bearings, as well as a whole bunch of other heavy-duty type accessories designed to help you get the job done. The Ultimate Trail Edition, which is what I'd be buying, gets LED lights all around with cool accent lighting up front, arched A-arms, 14-inch aluminum wheels with 26-inch Duro tires, and a 2,500-pound Polaris winch. Are the new Sportsman 450 and 570 models better than their previous generations? Definitely yes. And while increased style is always a good thing, the mechanical upgrades and increased capabilities provide for a smoother, more comfortable, more capable, and more durable ATV. The looks are just a bonus. For 2021, Polaris has given the Ranger a bit of a tweak as well. New clutch components result in a claimed 50% increase in clutch durability. Suspension durability has been increased by 50%. Front drive strength has been increased by 30%, and the chassis has been redesigned around the new isolated front drive, which has resulted in a 15% increase in chassis durability. Like the Sportsman 570, the 2021 Ranger lineup includes a few special editions with extra features. The XP1000 Trail Boss and NorthStar Trail Boss both come in 3 or 6-seat versions and include high-clearance arched A-arms, self-leveling rear suspensions, and active descent control. All Ranger XP1000s now come standard with 14-inch aluminum wheels, and most of the special editions now come with 19-inch Maxxis Bighorn 2.0s. On the RZR end of things, Ride Command is now standard on the Pro XP Premium model. XP1000 and XP1000S now get the same clutch upgrades that the Pro XP got for cooler temps and greater durability. New rear shock guards and 18% lighter wheels are standard across the line, and a new model called the Turbo S Lifted Lime Squeeze Limited Edition is both a mouthful to say and chocked full of cool toys like dynamic suspension, Ride Command, factory audio, LED lights, lower doors, and an aluminum roof. We're expecting more news from RZR a little later on in the season. Last on the list for today, though, is General, and the big news here is a new model called the General XP1000 Pursuit Edition. Available in both 2- and 4-seat configurations, this new model is the first General targeted directly at hunters. It includes a Pursuit camo paint scheme, lock and ride rear bed rack that provides 2 levels of storage, a coal-pin stronghold gun boot, and an 11-inch LED light bar mounted to the color-matched front bumper. I've always said the General is one of the most versatile side-by-sides ever made, and I think this new special edition model just serves to prove that point further. Other updates to the General lineup are increased functionality in the ride command system, as well as new special edition colors and graphics. For decades, Polaris has seemed to have the true wants and needs of the off-road industry very much sorted out. Their products year after year hit exactly where they need to, with the exact updates and features consumers are asking for. 2021 first seemed like a year for bold new graphics and nothing more. Instead, Polaris improved their entire lineup, most notably a new version of one of the industry's best-selling platforms, the Sportsman 450 and 570.
Dirt Trax is sponsored by Princess Auto. Make it work.
This right here is a 2020 General 4-seater Deluxe. If you've been watching the show this season, you already know that. But what you probably don't know is that Luke's planning on taking his family on a camping trip with it, and I've got a few parts and pieces that are really going to make their camping trip a whole lot more fun. Do you really need to add anything to the General Deluxe? No, it's pretty fully loaded from the factory. But I wanted to give my nieces a little something special to keep them comfy and make sure that Luke is ready for whatever his camping adventures throw his way. So with the help of Polaris and their incredible accessory lineup, I'll be able to turn our General 4-seater into the ultimate expedition rig. No, not going to get into chopping, cutting, and welding, but parts that you can feel comfortable installing yourself right at home. Or if you're not feeling up to the task, your local Polaris dealer can not only order your parts in for you, but also install them. First thing I'm going to be doing is installing something that I've never installed before, but I've always wanted to try, and that's a heater kit. The heater kit that I will be installing is from Polaris, and it's a one-stop shop, meaning that I don't need anything else, and everything is already pre-marked for where I need to drill or cut. But it's a bit of a time-consuming task. While it's still pretty warm here at Dirt Trax headquarters, the mornings and likewise evenings are cold. And when riding with young ones or a wife, we all know a little heat can go a long ways in keeping them content. I'm also planning ahead for the winter months, as the General is just as much work as it is play, and it's going to come in handy when needing to move snow. This complete defrost and heater kit comes with 2 defrost vents, 2 floor vents, and 4 passenger vents, so you can get the heat where you need it. You can also choose to use the 3-speed fan to circulate air when you don't want heat by using the adjustable temp dial. Install of the heater is pulse bar ready, and the cutouts are all pre-marked. Plumbing is directly into the General's cooling system, and it comes with the proper T-fittings to link up. You will need to cut some coolant hoses, so be ready to recover the coolant that will leak, and also have some fresh 50/50 premix on hand. Now there's a lot to remove to make this heater kit go in, but not surprisingly, Polaris has made it super simple of an install. So simple, in fact, that I wouldn't even hesitate to suggest to you that you give it a try at home, as long as you're relatively handy in the garage. You'll feel a little strange cutting into the plastic. It's a bit unnerving the first time, but when you can visually see the marked and recessed areas that coincide with the instructions, you'll know it's the right spot. While this will take you somewhere around 4 hours to complete, I was able to get the job done in much less than that and didn't struggle with any areas in particular. The finished product looks great, seems like it's right from the factory, and blows out air with impressive force. I think the kiddos will really appreciate this on those early morning rides or late evening and nighttime adventures. Now, a heater is a great comfort feature, but without a windshield, well, it's kind of a total loss. So that is my next accessory. Polaris's lock and ride windshields are so easy it's like falling down to install them. This fully vented poly windshield has the added features of 2 vents allowing for airflow when it's warm out, and then also keeping the wind out with the heater on. There's a full seal around the windshield so it meshes up with the roll bar perfectly. Not only will this help keep the heat in and likewise allow for airflow, but if Luke gets into some gnarly tight treed-in trails or mud, it's sure to keep the sticks out of all the passengers' faces and the mud from covering his family. Wait, maybe I shouldn't have put this on.
Dirt Trax is sponsored by Shock Strap. Start strapped, stay strapped.
Now, storage on the General is pretty good. I mean, we've got a huge box out back. The glove box is pretty cavernous, but it's always nice to have just a little spot that you can toss the camera, the cell phone, or the first aid kit that you know it's not going to rattle or shake out. There is a great long and deep storage tray on the General, but with most aggressive riding, your stuff will find its way out of there. Polaris has a tidy little zippered storage bag that fits in quite nicely and stays put. It has a semi-rigid front door and gives ample space for the stuff that you might need access to quickly when riding, or snacks for the kids. Lots and lots of snacks. Now, speaking of aggressive riding, I know Luke, and he's liable to find himself in some interesting situations while he's out with his wife and kids. And when he's out with his wife and kids, I think he'll probably try to impress them, and these plastic rockers are likely not to come back looking the same. So I'm giving him rock sliders because I don't want to be back in here showing y'all how to change out plastic rockers. The Extreme rock sliders from Polaris are easy to install with the 4 lock and ride mounts. They go on quick and will, I repeat for Luke's benefit, will support the weight of this vehicle. I may or may not have tested this assumption a time or two already. These rock sliders are 1 3/4 inch tube steel at 14 gauge thickness, and if you beat them up, they can be removed quickly and repainted to take on another season's abuse. Another part that'll take a whole lot of abuse is a rear bumper, and when you're wheeling a 4-seater bus like this, objects in the mirror can be a whole lot closer than they appear. Made with the same tube steel as the sliders and installing just about as easily, this rear bumper is designed to stick out past the rear cargo box, so you hit steel before plastic, and I'm pretty certain it's going to get hit a time or two on this trip. It also works well for a step up should you need to grab something out of a cooler in the back or get up into the box yourself. I know I'm making Luke out to be hard on equipment, and the truth is, he kinda is, so I'm not done with adding protection to this rig just yet. You'll see little black plastic guards on some A-arms of side-by-sides. Those are not A-arm guards. These are A-arm guards. I'm putting them on both the front and back, and while the A-arms are already high clearance, I know that just means extra room before you hit something, and rocks, roots, stumps, yeah, those things are going to find their way to meeting up with our nice blue painted suspension. So why not save it and also add the ability to slide over some of those objects with these simple to install low friction poly guards. I think we're looking pretty good at this point. I mean, this rig is pretty much ready to rock, but I can't help but think about the fact that at this time of the year, the sun sets a little bit earlier, and there's always need for more light. And light there shall be, but with the Polaris Pulse system, it's way easier to install. Maybe I should say way one more time. Seriously, you just order the appropriate harness and click it into the pulse bar, hook the other end to your light and install the switch. That is it. I'm using a pair of harnesses because I'm gonna set up Luke to light up the trail like midday with this 30-inch dual row Pro Armor LED light bar and 2-inch by 2-inch LED floodlight set up front. All of these Pro Armor lights are aluminum housed with a shatter resistant lens. They also throw huge light and feature the adjustable mounts to get it where you want it. With the light bar on the roof and the cubes on the bumper, I can give Luke a perfect view of the trail way ahead and also illuminate what may be hiding on the edge of the trail with the cubes. Both will feature an illuminated switch and the rugged durability you'd expect from Polaris and Pro Armor. On this camping trip, Luke and the family are going to be staying out for a weekend, so I know that they're going to need to keep food cold for at least a few nights. A 30-quart cooler will be sufficient, but this time instead of doing a lock and ride cooler, I thought I'd hook them up with the Polaris NorthStar cooler. It looks like a Yeti but holds ice for a minimum of 30 hours longer. It's got great plastic carry handles and also really smartly designed rope handles for carrying with 2 people or not needing to reach down so far, and it even has rubber feet to keep it put in the bed of the side-by-side, deck of the boat, or just out on the dock or deck. Its 2-inch thick insulation is perfect for weekend trips, features an easy-out drain plug, IGBC certified bear resistance, and the size is just right for heading out camping. When you go camping with a side-by-side, there's some luxury items that you get to bring along. And Luke and the family are well equipped with this General 4-seater and have loads of space for all of their own personal stuff as well.
Closed captioning of Dirt Trax is sponsored by MBRP Performance Exhaust. Race inspired, trail proven.
In the ATV and side-by-side industries, Kawasaki has carved out a respectable fan base who cite durability, reliability, and quality as the basis for their support. The Trax has long been a highly praised sport utility option by not just Kawasaki loyalists, but the media as well, and the Trax 4 is one of only 2 4-seat side-by-sides that has a short enough wheelbase to play right alongside any 2-seater in any situation. But if we're all going to be honest here, Kawasaki hasn't exactly been a leader in terms of innovation for both ATVs or side-by-sides. Much of their lineup has received only minor updates and changes in the past 10 years. The fact that these vehicles are still extremely competitive, though, is a testament to the brand's dedication to building vehicles with specs and features real-world riders are asking for. That's why I was so intrigued by the new Trax KRX 1000. Kawasaki doesn't make mistakes when they release a new model. If history has proven anything, it's that they almost always get it right the first time. So, when we finally managed to get our hands on a 2020 KRX, it already had a lot of expectations to live up to. I'm sure, like me, you're dying to know how it did when the rubber actually hit the trail. Before we go any further, I do want to point out that this KRX has got a ton of Kawasaki accessories already installed on it. And while they do fit great, look cool, and work good, they are not included with the vehicle when you buy it new. Now, the next step of this is to talk about what the KRX is. And I'm not going to go into great detail here because this vehicle's been on the market for over a year, so most of you already know the nitty-gritty details. A 999cc 8-valve parallel twin offers an unofficial 112 horsepower that spins a high-low gearbox through a centrifugal clutch to a CVT transmission. AA arms deliver 18.5 inches of travel up front, and a 4-link trailing arm setup delivers 21 inches of travel out back. All 4 corners are damped by a set of Fox 2.5 Podium LSC piggybacks with 24 clicks of compression damping adjustability. A long 99-inch wheelbase separates a full set of 8-ply 31-inch Maxxis Carnivores mounted on 15-inch aluminum real beadlock wheels. Now, all of this is an impressive spec list to say the least, and it really highlights how serious Kawasaki was when they decided to enter the pure sport marketplace. Visually, I think the KRX looks ultra tough. Something that jumped out at me at first, though, when I saw it in person was how far forward the driver and passenger appear to sit in the chassis compared to other sport side-by-sides in this class. It also looks big. Now, its 99-inch wheelbase that's longer than anything else in its class is part of it, but it's not all of it. With a wet weight of 1,900 pounds, this vehicle is big. It weighs 350 pounds more than a Honda 1000 Talon R. Once inside, the Trax KRX 1000 offers evidence of Kawasaki's attention to detail everywhere. The seats are comfortable and supportive, the steering wheel is easy to get to and in a comfortable position. The gauge pod is attached to the steering column, so it's always easy to read, the doors are solid, and they're nicely finished. It's these seemingly little details that make a world of difference before you even start the engine. Let's be honest, you're like me, you're more interested in what happens after you start the engine. So here's my rundown on how the KRX 1000 performs. First, the suspension is fantastic. It's plush on the small stuff, but soaks up even big hits without complaint. Once I got those Fox podiums tuned to my liking, with 6 clicks from full soft up front and 10 clicks out back, I had no complaints whatsoever. Despite having front and rear sway bars, the KRX 1000 does have more body roll than I would like. If you compare the size of the sway bars with other vehicles in this class, they're definitely on the small side, especially when you consider the size and weight of this vehicle. With that said, the body roll didn't negatively affect the handling to the point where I wasn't comfortable cornering as fast as I wanted to in all conditions. I think this is largely thanks to the non-standard 68-inch width offering more stability than more traditional 64-inch wide vehicles. Up to this point, the KRX 1000 has pretty much met or exceeded all of my expectations, which is saying a lot. But there are a few things I think could be better. First, the turning radius is massive. This may seem like a minor point, but it does matter. The second thing isn't a small point. The KRX 1000 doesn't feel like it has enough power. I think this has a lot to do with the vehicle's above average weight, combined with a less than impressive 64 mile/hour limited top speed. But it's not just the top speed, it's what happens when you stand on the gas pedal. The transmission is ultra smooth, but there's no super exciting slam you back in your seat surge of forward momentum you'd expect from a vehicle that looks as aggressive as this one does. At average speeds, this really isn't a big issue. The KRX rolls along nicely, but it's when you want to flick it sideways in a corner or launch off a bump on the trail. There's just not enough jam waiting for you. All of this leads me to my final thoughts about the KRX 1000. This is one seriously capable vehicle, and it checks all of the boxes necessary to be a serious threat in the pure sport marketplace, except for one. If having the fastest or hardest pulling ride isn't important to you, you'll be more than happy with the KRX. But for those of us who do want more, I think the solution is pretty clear. A turbo boost to about 165 or 170 ponies would wake this thing up considerably. Throw in a set of beefier sway bars to help control body roll at the higher speeds, and I'd really have nothing to complain about. As is, I believe the 2020 Trax KRX 1000 is a great side-by-side, but I know it has so much more potential just waiting to be realized. The question now is, will Kawasaki give us what we're asking for the way they almost always do? If you enjoyed this segment, make sure you hit that like button and definitely consider leaving us some comments. We always appreciate hearing from our fans. Also, make sure you're subscribed because we have tons of new content coming up right here on Trax.